My name is Matthew Hornor. I'm the president and CEO of Maple Gold Mines. Happy to walk you through some of the highlights of our company, its history, what we've accomplished and announced just yesterday, a transformational transaction with Agnico Eagle, and what's upcoming for the company now as we expand and grow our platform. So here's some of the highlights of the company I'll go through now. For the audience who doesn't know our name, we're located in Quebec, Canada, in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. It's a very prolific belt that has been responsible for a few 100 million ounces of gold produced to date. So we're in a great jurisdiction. As I mentioned, we just formed and announced the binding definitive agreement with Agnico Eagle yesterday. That was after 4 months of final negotiations on the back of a binding term sheet last October. I'll talk about the terms of that in a minute, but that is truly an incredible event for us and something we're very proud of, and I think all shareholders should look forward to that partnership providing a lot of great results for everyone. Our mission is to establish a gold resource in this district that is a multi-million ounce camp. And I think that because we have now a past producing project, as well as a large discovery potential on the Douay project, we have better and more opportunities for success and positive outcomes for our shareholders. We have $40 million in our bank at the moment, $20 million in cash, and $22 million in cash, and $18 million or so in committed capital from our partners that will be spent on exploration over the next 4 years. That is a minimum obligation spend requirement from them. And of course, we can upsize that as we get into some of the more interesting targets. The management team comes from a number of large mining companies, producers, exploration companies, et cetera. So we bring that to the table, that experience to the table. I joined as president and CEO 4 years ago, May. So this May will be the 4th anniversary of my time here. One college education, 4 years. So here's a nice photograph. We like to say, I'm not sure if the Mandarin translates properly, but we say, why does Quebec rock? We love working up there. It is an M&A hotspot. There's been north of $12 billion in gold M&A transactions in the last 8 years, 7.5, 8 years. Namely, Osisko, Detour, Horizon, Probe, Lakeshore, and Monarch. These are all companies that have transacted, and if the audience is interested, they can look at what those what happened in those deals. As I mentioned, the Greenstone Belt has been quite prolific in production of gold, a couple 100 million ounces produced up to this date. The government of Quebec is very, very supportive. You know, as all the attendants will likely confirm, this is part of a foundational part of the Canadian economy is mining, and Quebec is really one of the pillars of that economic foundation for Canada. Quebec is constantly rated in the top 10 in the world for mining jurisdictions, not just because of the support and of the various mining companies that they receive from the government in many ways, but very specifically, for every dollar of exploration we put into the ground, we receive 37 cents back actually from the government in a cash refund just to support further exploration. Quite unique for any jurisdiction anywhere on the planet. The partnership with Agnico Eagle came not just in the combination of their project with our project, but also with a capital injection of just under $9 million, or just over $9 million, actually, if you add in the recent investment they made. They have warrants that allow them to buy additional shares at 34 cents to increase their position to 19.9% of the company. When they made that investment originally in September of last year, they made it at a 40% premium and it since after that traded up to up into the 50-cent range. So they're contributing their project, which is called Jutel. Had a past producing gold mine there, relatively high grade. We think it's in the 6 to 10 grams range. So that project is coming into our portfolio package of at the moment. We have that, as well as the Douay project. As I mentioned, they're spending $18 million minimum over 4 years. We're also spending together some VMS targets, some base metal projects ideas on the western flank of our Douay project in the year 1. For contributing the projects to the joint venture, both companies got an upfront net smelter royalty with a $40 million price tag for buying that out. So essentially that was the value of our company back when we made this deal with them last September. What's really unique about this relationship, though, and something that I was trying really hard to establish in a joint venture, not just a strategic investment, was that we get access to their entire team of technical experts. They have multiple engineering firms within their $20 billion company, and we get access to that to help us grow our both projects that we now have. Agnico, if for the audience who's not aware, they were established in 1957, and they're the largest gold producer in Canada and the top 10 and global producers. So they're one of the biggest companies, gold producers in the world, and definitely the best partner we could have ever hoped for. It was a 2.5-year process to get them to finally sign on this deal. Lengthy negotiations back and forth. And even multiple site visits and looking at all of our core. So anyone who's coming in is thinking about becoming a shareholder of Maple Gold Mines is coming in on the back of Agnico Eagle's diligence on our project. And they take a very, very disciplined approach to any deal they do. They don't do many deals. They do 1 or 2 a year maximum. So here's a couple more points that this lays out the structure of their investment in the expiration over 4 years. As you can see, it's $4 million on year 1, year 2, and $5 million on years 3 and 4. Down the road, also something of interest might be that they're going to help us with project financing when we go to build the projects in the future. So it's usually difficult or can be challenging for a smaller company to access the coffers of the larger financial institutions for project financing, but Agnico is going to let us leverage their relationships in order to keep up our end of the bargain, because it is a 50-50 joint venture. This map will orientate the audience as to where we are. As you can see, this is in Quebec, in the Abitibi. If you fly from Montreal or Toronto, it's 1 hour flight to Val d'Or, which is a commercial airport. You can drive from there 200 kilometers to our project site. It's very easy to get there. You can go there any means of transportation, any car or bus will do. We're next to a 2-lane provincial highway, very easy to get to. Both of the projects sit on a 70-kilometer Casa Berardi deformation zone. So we're right in a very prolific area where you see on the map, there are current producers, Casa Berardi. This is a past producer, Vesa. Eagle Talbot, which we have now acquired in our joint venture, was also a higher grade past producer. One thing to point out, I'll get to this in a minute, why we like Jutel is that it was producing when gold was only trading at $360 per ounce. And so that means that they wouldn't have gone to any of the ground that would only work at higher gold prices. So we're going through a digitization process at the moment, and we'll be putting out the full package of what Jutel has in the not too distant future. For all of those curious as to what the mine site looks like, here is the office. Here's the office. This is a head frame that was put in place in the 90s by Horizon And that was because they were planning, they ran a PEA over what would have been a shallow underground project. And then they moved elsewhere, which is when we picked up when the project was sold. This is the core shack that hosts 250,000 meters of drill core. So it's kind of like having an encyclopedia of all your past work right on site. And I need to emphasize how important this is for the geologists, exploration geologists, to be able to go back and look at the work that was actually done. It's much more useful and helpful than just looking at the drill logs that are interpreted by geologists and may or may not be have the benefit of updated technology. So this is something that we're very, very happy to have, very fortunate to have, that is quite rare. So the history of the project goes back to 1976, when I was a small boy, just a few years post being out of diapers. And as with many mining projects, before a project really takes off and finally finds its wings, it goes through a number of hands because it's quite a timely process. And this is no different. The first discovery was in '76. There's a bulk tonnage potential discovered in 2004. Maple Gold, what is now Maple Gold, acquired the project in 2010, 11 years ago. And then I stepped in 2017 and brought with me a number of my colleagues, former colleagues from Ivanhoe Mines. This is a company where I worked for 11 years plus, and helped and actually ran the Beijing office for Ivanhoe Mines, where I lived for 2.5 years. So I lived in China for quite some time. And so I got to be friends with many of the countrymen in China and really enjoyed my time there. And it brought a lot of the experience from raising quite large amounts of capital for the Ivanhoe projects worldwide, in South Africa, in South America, and also in Beijing, in China itself, and Mongolia. Some of the other things we did, we brought in the technical expertise in-house versus just outsourcing it. We relogged a lot of the historical core. We built a camp that would house 50 people. So when COVID is over and people can come visit again, we'll be hosting investor tours. And so we'll be making that available for anyone who wants to come visit there. And it's quite nice. The food is very delicious, made by the locals in Quebec. We delivered a more conservative resource update, and which is one of the reasons why I think we attracted some of the bigger names. And so these are all things that were done in the background after I took the helm. Our resource is just under 3 million ounces. The measured and indicated category is 1.5 grams, and the inferred is just around 1 gram. There's an underground resource as well, but the whole thing is 2.77 million ounces. The metallurgy, meaning how difficult it is to extract the gold from the rock, we did some initial tests, and those came back very nicely as well, around the 90% range. I'll also note that there's a very small NSR on the resource. It's only 134,000 ounces out of the 3 million, so relatively insignificant, which is also unique in Quebec. Here's a nice photograph of what the prior producing Joutel project looked like. As you can see, this is not what it looks like today, but again, what we like about this is there's quite a lot of, we believe, economic material left at this project, which we will be able to put out at some point. Of course, we haven't completed all the work there, but what is interesting is, over a 20-year period, they mined almost 20-year period, they mined over 1 million ounces. And the average grade, they say, is 6 grams, but we think it was actually much, much higher. So if you extrapolate over time what that means with the existing gold price, you're looking at a 6-time hike on the economics, which we think is going to over time be quite compelling. Here's a geologic map shows where we are. Here's the Joutel project down here. As you see, a lot of the geologic trends extend from their project onto ours. we're in the middle of drilling off in a lot of these exploration discovery targets here, and here, and also parts in here. Some of the results, we've been delayed a little bit by the labs, but we expect to have the drill results out in the very near future, which I think should be welcomed by all the shareholders out there. We had been waiting to get the entire interpretation complete, and we're near that point. So we'll be looking at not only growing the existing resource, but also looking for new discoveries outside. Quite excited about that. We added more rigs to the Northeast IP target, which we announced, which is on the basis of our initial findings there.
Hi, Matthew, you may like to wrap up if you want to answer some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the larger pit. As you can see, we're just combining it to make what will ultimately be, we think, a very large super pit. We've done some AI work to see where else to go with UBC. I won't go into this in detail, but this shows you some of our drilling success last year. And here's some more of our targeting information. Here's the work that we've done, some of the drills we put in the ground just now. But I'd like to leave the audience just with the fact that we've not only expanded our initial idea for January and drilling based on what we saw, but going forward, we'll be looking to expand the resource and look for discovery outside the area as well.
Thank you, Matthew. So let's go right to it. This question from Lisa is asking, for the delays in the assay result, is COVID the main reason?
Yeah, there were some delays with the labs. We're starting to get the final bits back from the original work we did end of last year. So we expect to have that relatively soon. There were long delays because people couldn't go into the labs to do the work, and it's hard to do lab assaying virtually.
For sure. Next one coming from Marisa here. What are the key technical people in your company or your team to interpret this the deposit?
Sure, we didn't get to go into all the personnel, but I can say that Fred Speidel is our VP Exploration. He worked for 26, 28 years at Inmet, First Quantum. He speaks German, French, English, and Spanish fluently, and he has an incredible record of major discoveries. Along with him is Dr. David Broughton, somebody with whom I worked at Ivanhoe Mines. He received one of the highest distinction awards in Canada, the Lindsay Thayer Award, that's voted on by other geologists. And he's another key member of our technical committee. And of course, now we have the entire Agnico Eagle team of geologists helping us interpret and find new targets for discovery.
Sure. Last question here from Kin here is asking, since you know China very well, any plan for getting any Chinese capital into your company?
We have, yes. I know and love China very much, and yes, we've had interest from various groups over there, China mainland, also in Hong Kong. So don't be surprised if you see that happen. We're also looking at all sorts of dual listings and other possibilities out there, and Hong Kong is definitely on the list of potentials. So we love Asia. I worked and lived there. I worked and lived in Japan as well. So yes, we're always open-minded and love our Chinese friends.
Sure. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for your time here with us here today.
Thank you, Gilbert.